Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a playthrough of Legacy of You. We're going to be trying to build a canal before an impending flood destroys our growing settlement. Now I'm going to teach the game as I play, just like I always do, but if you're afraid of spoilers, don't worry. I'll make sure to give you a big warning and give you plenty of time to get away. I've got everything set up for your first game of the campaign. You're going to want to shuffle up the townsfolk cards, deal out 10 down here. This is your ready pile. To the left is where you'll put the exhausted cards. You then take the rest of the townfolk's cards and you deal out 6 to the top row. You also want to shuffle up the barbarian cards and then just deal 1 to the rightmost column. You want to put out 4 random hut cards without looking at the opposite side. And place the 4 green huts on top. Place the rest of the buildings right here like that. And then you want to take the canal cards, separate them by their backs, shuffle them, and then deal them out randomly in their appropriate locations. You then want to put your barge on the first canal card, and then place the flood token to the left. Place your story deck to the side, make sure you do not shuffle those or look at those cards, and then keep your story book handy as well. Again, do not look through it. And there you go, that's setup complete, we're ready to begin. The first thing we do each round is we get our harvest income. And at the beginning of the game, all we get is what's written right down here in this section. This is the harvest symbol. This means we get 4 townsfolk cards into our hand from our ready pile. These are the cards that we're going to use to take actions during the round. We then get 1 white worker, known as a laborer. We get 1 shell, 1 provision, and if we had built any purple outposts, we would get an extra shell for each one. And there we go. In round 1, that's all we get. Now we get to take actions using our resources and our townfolk cards. And there's a ton of stuff that we can do. The main thing we want to focus on is building out this canal. We have 6 sections of the canal represented by these 6 cards. And on top, it shows what we need to spend in order to complete that section. And at the bottom, it shows what we'll get in return. The reason that's so important is because one of the ways we're going to lose the game is if this flood token were to ever move onto a canal space that hasn't been completed. So we're in a race and we have to stay ahead of the flood. The flood moves anytime we need to reshuffle our deck. And adding to the difficulty is we can only complete 1 section of the canal each round. Now to complete this first section, we need 2 white laborers and 2 shells. Now we start with 1 and 1, so it seems like something we might be able to do. Now one of the ways we can get more resources in order to build out these canal spaces, as well as building these different buildings that will help us, you'll see that pretty soon, but we can use our townfolk to get stuff. And in fact, we must play every card in our hand to do something. And there's basically 3 different ways that we can play each card. One thing we can do is just discard the card, exhaust it into our exhaust pile, and just take whatever the first reward is. The reward in the brown background. In this case, a blue worker. And in fact, I think I will do that. So we'll just get a blue worker. The second thing we could do is to actually discard the card completely, taking it out of our hand, putting it into the discard pile, and get both the top reward and the reward that's in the red background. So in this case, we would get a brick and a white worker. Now we want to try to avoid doing that as much as possible because that would be thinning our deck out. And like I said, the flood moves every time we have to reshuffle this deck. Furthermore, if we lose all the cards in our deck, that's another way that we can lose the game. So I actually think instead, I'm just going to exhaust him to get a brick. Another thing we can do with these cards is we can tuck them to increase our harvest income. And I actually think I'd like to do that with her. And so we have these 5 different places where we can tuck cards. I'm going to go ahead and tuck her under here. And from now on, during the harvest phase, we're going to actually get an extra white laborer. At the beginning of the game, this is the only place where we can tuck somebody. In order to free up these other spaces, we have to build these huts first. And as you can see down here, it shows to build a hut, we need to spend a laborer, 3 brick, and wood. That's definitely going to be a high priority for us because we want to try to get those harvest rewards because that's going to keep giving us stuff round after round after round. I think with her, I'm just going to exhaust her to get a black worker. Each of these workers actually have names. This is a rider, and the blue is a spearman. Now, another action that we can take is to send one of our workers to a hut space. Now, at the beginning of the game, we only have this one hut space free. As we build out these huts, more will appear. And we can send any color there. So I'll just send this rider here, and you just get the reward, which in this case is a provision. The nice thing about that is they will come back into our supply at the end of the round. Now, another thing that we can do is we can acquire new townsfolk. You can see at the bottom the cost and provisions to acquire them. 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and 3. Now, that's a barbarian. We can't acquire the barbarians. We can only acquire these townfolk. And when you acquire them, you can either add them to your exhausted pile, which means you're increasing the size of your deck, right? Which means the flood will be a little bit slower. Or instead, you can discard them out of the game in order to take their top reward. So if I wanted, I could, for free, discard this guy to get a white worker. But instead, I think I will just add them to my exhaust pile. Every round, one of them is going to be free, so that's nice. And honestly, we have 2 provisions here. I say, let's spend 1 provision, and let's just try to buff up our deck. Second provision, we'll acquire all 3 of them. Now, unfortunately, we don't have enough stuff in order to build the first canal section. To build one of these farms, we need a white worker, a clay, and a wood. We're missing the wood, so we can't build one of those. When you build a farm, you actually get additional harvest income. And to build one of these outposts, we would need a laborer, a brick, and 3 wood. We can't afford any of that. Now keep in mind, when you build one of these, it actually goes into one of these spaces here, and you get whatever you cover up. So if we were to build a farm, it would go here, and we would get a provision. You have to start building these sections of the canal to open up more building spaces for these 3 different types of buildings. And the last action that you can do is you can defend against these barbarians. In order to do so, you have to spend the provision cost below them, in this case 3 provisions, and then you also have to discard those specific type of workers, in this case 2 yellow and a red. If you do, you get the benefit on the right-hand side. In her case, that would be 3 shells. But we can't do that, so we're going to have to pass for this first round. The next thing that happens is we have to suffer attacks. Because there's 1 barbarian on the board, they're going to attack us. And we have a choice. We either have to lose the top card of our ready pile, or we have to spend a wood. Now, we don't have a wood, so we're going to have to just lose the top card of our pile. They get discarded. And there we go. That's it. Now we need to refresh the card row. We're going to slide all of our townsfolk to the left. Then we're going to look up here to see how many barbarians need to get added. And right now, we just need to add 1. As we uncover some of these canal spots, more will start to show up. So we're just going to shift this barbarian over 1 and add 1 barbarian. And then we're going to fill up the empty spots with additional townsfolk. The third and final way that you can lose the game is if the entire row is filled up with barbarians. Okay, there we go. We get our worker back from the hut spaces. And now we go right into the harvest phase where we're going to get our rewards. So we're going to get 4 more cards into our hand. So we only have 1 more card left in our ready pile. So we know that we need to build this canal space because that flood is going to be moving. We're now going to get 1, 2 laborers, 1 shell, and 1 provision. And there we go. We're ready to take actions. All right, we have a lot to do, and we can do it in any order that we want, and sometimes it matters. I think what I want to do is, let's exhaust her to get another rider. And I want to actually discard him to get both rewards. So we're going to get a red worker, which is a fighter, and a brick. And then he becomes discarded. I then want to use him just for the top reward. It's everything in the brown, so we're actually going to get a provision and a shell. I then want to build this canal. So we take our barge off, we pay our 2 laborers 2 shells, and then we're going to get the stuff here at the bottom. So we're getting a brick and a wood, and then that symbol there means we need to discard the top card from our ready pile. This card then gets removed. And we leave our barge off the board to remind us that we built a canal space this round, because you can only build 1 per round. And by doing that, that has opened up a couple of spaces for us. It's opened up another space where we could build. And something that I didn't mention last round is we have these trade spots. This is another thing that we can do on our turn. We can, right from the beginning, we could spend 3 shells in order to get a brick or a wood. And now we've opened up another one. We can spend 2 shells in order to get a provision. As we go along, more and more things will open up, and it shows here at the bottom exactly what's underneath the card, so you don't have to move the card. So now what I like here is we have 3 brick, a wood, and a laborer, which is exactly what we need to build our hut. So I think let's go ahead and do that. I'd really like to get that hut out. So we spend everything. We remove this hut, and now we can place it either here in this building spot, which will give us a shell, or we could do on this one, which would give us a provision. Now I want both of those things. So, no, let's get the shell. We're going to go here and get the shell. We now take this card, and that's as far as I can go spoiler free. So if you don't want to see any of the story elements, you need to get out right now. This is your final warning in 3, 2, 1. And we flip it, and oh no, we're going to do whatever it says. And in this case, we have this golden turtle with the number 31. And what that means is we have to go into our storybook and read that particular passage. Something is going to happen. So let's find out. The camp grows more and more each day. Workers pour in from the surrounding lands. Some sent by the emperors, others have nowhere else to go. It is heartbreaking, but I must continue in my work. We must make more room. So now it says, file the constructed hut card in the box under history. So there's a little section in the box where you can file things under history. That means they're going to be gone for the rest of the campaign. And then it says to find cards 1 through 3 in the story deck and file them in the box under huts and canals for future games. So we're going to go into our story deck. We're going to find cards 1, 2, and 3, which are right on top. And those are just going to go in the box. These will be future huts that may come out in our future games. Okay, and that's all that was. And as you can see here, a new hut spot has opened up. So now we could put any color worker here and get any other color other than white back. Now that we've opened up a new tuck spot, I would like to tuck our last remaining card under there. That's going to give us a wood and a shell each harvest phase. And now what I want to do is attack that barbarian. We have 2 black and a red, which are the workers that we need, But we need 3 provisions, and we only have 2. So I'm going to send this blue worker to this hut spot to get that 3rd provision that we need. And now we can spin those 3 and the workers. And boom, we've taken out that barbarian. Our reward is a shell. And we get to draw 1 card from our deck. And then they just go away. Now, our deck is empty, so we take our exhausted cards, we shuffle them, and it forms our new deck. Now, we get to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's only 8 cards in this deck. And actually, before I do that, 1 second. Again, doing these things in the right order actually really matters. Before I do that, because that's going to force me to shuffle this, I am going to recruit this character here, put them in the discard pile. I can do that for free. I'm going to spend 2 shells in order to get another provision so that I can also recruit this character. Spin that provision. Then I will spend the 3 provisions and the stuff to take this guy out, and then I will shuffle and draw 1. There we go. That way we have a bigger deck, and that'll just hold off the flood. Which, because we are shuffling our deck, the flood moves forward 1 space. And we don't lose the game because we've cleared this out. If we were to move onto one of the cards, then we lose. So I get to draw 1 more into my hand. And again, you have to play these cards. You can hold over between rounds any number of resources or workers, but you have to play all of your townsfolk cards. You can't hold them over. And I think, yeah, we'll just exhaust and have a white worker for next round. There we go. We're all done. At this point, because we removed the barge, we can now put it back onto the leftmost card that's remaining. And now we get attacked by the barbarian. Again, we don't have a wood to spend, so we're going to have to lose the top card from our deck. That's not great. We slide these over. We only need to add 1 more barbarian. So we have space for it right there. And then we just fill in the rest. All right, there we go. Get this guy back. We're ready for round 3. Okay, I'm getting even more income this time. So our 4 cards, 2 laborers, 2 shells now, 1 provision, and 1 wood. So we have everything we need to build the next section of the canal. Fantastic. Now we just want to decide if we want to do that right away. How close are we to defeating these barbarians? Well, we have 1 blue worker. We can come here to get a color of our choice. We can get a blue worker here, and we can get a yellow worker there. So we can take her out. We would need 2 more provisions to do so. Yellow, yellow, red is hard. We can't quite get to yellow, yellow, red. Okay, let's get a blue worker. Let's get a yellow worker. And let's get another white worker. Okay. Now let's build this section of the canal. Boom. Now we're getting brick, a wood, and we have another story passage. Passage 3. Ooh, wow, this is a long one. Disaster. The new canal to the east of our camp is nearing completion. Storms have been assailing us like the horrible breath of a dragon, forever slowing our progress. The men have become wary. I have been focusing on completing this work with such intent that I allowed carelessness to creep in. A short break in the turret provided us only a moment to proceed. While I was overseeing the last reinforcement on the canal, I received word from camp that a fire had broken out and part of the camp was ablaze. With so many hands away at the canal, the fire raged like a beast, and despite valiant efforts from those still close by, a scorched mess is all that remains of our food store and the tents surrounding it. Food will be scarce now. We had been foraging heavily to feed the workers and keep everyone strong. A concentrated and extended effort will need to be made to restore what was lost. A fool may take some solace in the stories coming from the camp that this was the work of the monkey demon of the river. I think I will put my energy into figuring out how to restore our food supply rather than chasing spirits. The burden of this oversight will hang over me for a long time, not unlike the storm clouds that now gather once again. At least the canal is done. File the completed canal card in the box under History. Find card 16 in the story deck and place it alongside the board with the side shown below, face up. This is a food storage card. Okay, here is 16. In addition to the standard rules for winning the game, you will also need to fulfill the requirements of this card. You cannot claim victory if it remains unfulfilled. If you are defeated, the food storage card will be added to your next game during setup in the same manner. It will remain in all future games until you fulfill it. In order to fulfill the food storage card, you must place 3 townsfolk cards from your hand onto the food storage card in the sequence shown. Each townsfolk card placed must feature the indicated food icon to its left side. To be clear, the first townsfolk card must feature milk, the second fish, and the third meat. Immediately after placing the third townsfolk card, turn to the indicated entry in the storybook, number 13. You gain no other benefit from placing townsfolk cards here, other than progressing towards fulfilling the food storage card. Townsfolk cards placed onto the food storage card are locked there until it is fulfilled. You cannot optionally pick them up later. If you are defeated, any townsfolk cards still on the food storage card are returned to the townsfolk deck for future games. They are not left there for your next game. Wow, okay. So all that means by the end of the game, we need to place one of the townsfolk with milk, and then fish, and then meat. And that's what that third icon on all the cards is for. It's for stuff like this. Okay, so that was a lot, and we opened up this space now, and as you can see, because of that, we're going to be adding a second barbarian each round to the row. We opened up a new building space here, which would give us a worker of our color of our choosing, and we have a new trade we can make. We can actually trade in one of our cards, and we just put it into the exhaust pile in order to get 2 shells. That could be very, very useful, in fact. So that's interesting. She has milk, so I could just trade her in right now and fulfill that milk, but I think we don't want to get our townsfolk out of our deck that quickly. So let's worry about that much later. Now we might want to exhaust her for 2 shells. Let's get this black worker. And that worker is going to come here to get a provision. But we could build a farm. It just takes a laborer, a brick, and a wood. And we can choose which farm we want to build. So this one would give us, during the harvest phase, another laborer. This one would give us a provision. And this one would give us color of our choice. I think I like that. And let's build that right here so we can get the third provision that we need. And now we can attack her. We're going to get a shell and draw a card. And then she's gone. Let's go ahead and use her to get 2 provisions. We'll just add her down here. Honestly, let's spend a provision to get him. Spend a provision to get him. All that recruiting is going to help us a ton. And let's have our worker come here to get a color of our choice. Let's get yellow so we can maybe start to work on that barbarian. And the nice thing is they're going to be coming back. So by coming here, we're actually generating a new worker. That's fantastic. There's nowhere else that we can place this worker right now. So I think we are done. That's it. Put our barge right there. And now we're getting attacked. And look at this. We have a wood that we could spend to avoid having one of our townsfolk killed. And I'm tempted. I am tempted. Yeah, you know what? Let's spend the wood. That's known as bribing the barbarian rather than defending against them. And now, like I said, we're adding 2 barbarians. So we just make room. And fill in. One, two, three. We're going to have to shuffle. Which means the flood is moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. 9 cards. Not bad. Two laborers. 2 shells. Provision. Wood. And color of our choice, not white. I think we want yellow, right? Yellow there, yellow there. Let's grab a yellow. We also have this spot. These guys come home. So we need 3 laborers, 2 shells. Bam. We're going to get a brick and a wood. And we have to discard 2 off the top. Now we've opened up a really cool spot here. A laborer and a provision. And we can get a worker of our choosing. Now I think we definitely want this blue, what are they, spearmen. This guy can give us a provision and a shell. Let's just go ahead and do that. The real question I have is, do I want to expend this guy to get both of those? Let's get this brick. Okay, I tell you what, I am going to do that. I want to get both of these workers. White and a yellow. Now I could build another farm. Or one more wood and build here. Oh my goodness, too many options. I can get the wood by defeating her. So let's do that. We're going to have you go there, get a provision. And we're going to spend 3 provisions, 2 yellow and a blue to defeat her. That's 2 shells and a wood. Okay, I love that. We now have what we need to build an outpost. Or could build a hut. Ooh, this is hard. I think after all that, I just want to build one of these farms. So that's going to be just 1 brick and 1 wood. Let's build it here and get a blue worker. Let's send that worker there. Get a black. Then for free, I'm going to discard, get a provision, and a shell. Let's also spin 2 shells here to get another provision. And then we're going to use those 2 provisions to recruit these 2 into our deck. Okay, there we go. I like that. Going to put that back. We're getting attacked twice here, and I think we're just going to bribe. So we'll spend the blue worker, and we'll spend the wood to avoid getting attacked. Slide that down. We have to add 2 more barbarians. So the barbarians are starting to stack up here, and that is a problem. We really need to do something about that. Oh man, and we still have to do this too before the end. Whew. Okay, this is getting rough. 1, 2, 3, 4. Person of our choice. Okay. We have a yellow. We need a yellow and a red here. We can get another yellow here, so we could get a red. We have black, black, yellow right away, so we could take them out. Okay, I don't mind that. Yeah, let's go red. I think we need all of these people, so let's just go ahead and get a laborer, a spearman, and what's yellow? I think an archer. Yeah, yellow's archer. Okay. I want to try to take out these 2. That's my goal. So let's buy a provision. And then let's take out this one. Black, black, yellow, and 2 provisions. We're going to get 2 shells back and a brick. I think we might as well go ahead and do that. We have this blue also. Okay, let's go here, get a provision. Let's put the blue here to get the yellow that we need. Let's just use this guy. We'll get a provision and a shell. And now we can take her out. 2 provisions. Yellow, yellow, red. It's going to be 3 more shells. Wow. I think we can just go ahead and do this, right? So 3, 2. Get that canal built. It's going to be a brick and a wood. We have to take out 2. It's going to add a 3rd barbarian. Whew. That gives us 2 more building sites, though. Wow, look at that. We can spend 4 shells to get a laborer. And I think that's exactly what I want to do. We're going to spend 4 shells, get a laborer so that we can build. And now we can build either a hut or an outpost. Man, I kind of want to build a hut. 3 brick, laborer, wood. We're going to build this hut. I think getting a red for that guy might be helpful. Because we're going to have the blue. Okay, yeah, we'll get a red. So we got that hut. We flip it. And, ooh, we get +1. So we're going to have to shuffle. Flood moves. Okay. Now we have a new hut spot here. We can place someone here to get a brick, a wood, or a shell. And we could tuck her. Yeah, okay. We're going to tuck her. Get a red worker. Might as well come here and get, I'd say, a brick. Let's spend 2 shells to get a provision using that. Then once again, let's use her to get a provision and a shell. And then we'll spend these 2 provisions to recruit these 2. I think that's all we can do. We have 2 sections left here of the canal. We have these 2 guys, and I'm going to bribe them. 2 shells for this one guy, a wood for that guy. So they're going to leave us alone. We're now adding 3 more barbarians, so we need to make room. Man, okay. So we're getting a bit overrun here with the barbarians. Remember, if they ever fill up all 7 spots, we lose instantly. And we cannot forget about this. Oh boy, I don't know. I think we're barely hanging on here. Let's do harvest. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to at least take care of 2 of these barbarians, because 3 more are coming. We need 2 red and a blue. Okay, we have 2 red and a blue. We can take care of that first guy, no problem. After that, we have nothing. Let's get a black. Let's get a black. Okay, first things first, let's take this guy out. 2 red and a blue, and 1 provision. We get 2 shells and a brick. Okay, for free, we can discard that guy to get a blue. So now we just need 1 more blue. I think we're going to need to discard this guy to get both a white and a yellow. I'm then going to use one of these guys here to get the last blue that I need. Okay, now I need 2 provisions. This guy can give me 1 of them. Ooh, I could get rid of him and get both of the provisions that I need. Or I could get a provision here. Okay, yeah, here. I'm going to get the provision here. Provision and shell. Then I'm going to spend the provision here. Discard to get 2 provisions. And now we have the 2 provisions, blue, blue, black. Take this guy out. That's going to be 3 more shells. Now when we add 3 more barbarians, we haven't lost the game. And now we're just 1 black, what are they called, riders. We're 1 rider away from doing this. And I think we probably just should. I mean, we should just try to end this in 2 rounds. We don't want to go a 3rd round. So I have a couple ways that I could get that black meeple. I could just build, and we could build right there, get a black meeple. That seems like the easiest way. The other way is white worker provision. I can obviously buy a provision. Getting a ton of brick here if I want it. So we could build a hut. Could also just build a farm right now. But we could build another hut. That's tempting. Let's get a brick. We're going to have to survive that final round. So we're going to have 6 barbarians. And the other thing is this guy's milk. And I was thinking we might need to just go ahead and make him milk. Because we got to do this. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to do another farm. We'll do worker, brick, wood. Let's get that last farm out. Boom. Black worker. To do this. So now we have to get rid of 2 off the top. And we have a story event. Oh boy. Hopefully this is good. Not all people can come and assist in this grand work. Defeating the floods will be a boon to us all, but life carries on in small things as well as the large. Nearby villages do what they can to help, but they still must farm, forage, fight, and thrive. So it is with great pride in our people and the deepest of honor that I accept a gift today from a family from the nearby mountains. They see what we are doing and how it benefits all. They are grateful for the work, but they cannot see how grateful I am to them. File the constructed canal card in the box under History. Find card 37 from the story deck and file it in the box under Huts and Canals for future gains. And gain 2 provisions. Ooh. So that is indeed good. Now here is our main problem. We have 2 cards here and 4 cards here. So we're running low. Very, very low. I mean, we have to do this, so we're going to put this guy here for the milk, and we're just going to have to hope that that's good enough. We have 1 more worker left. Ton of money. I think we need to put them here. Now, we either want to get... Yeah, let's get a wood. No, let's get a... Yeah, let's get a brick. Let's get a brick. Or actually, ooh, no, we don't want to do that. We want that worker available for that, because we cannot afford to lose anymore. Okay, we just gotta stop right there. That's all we can do. So canal's on the last spot. Gotta pay these people off here. 2 shells, white worker, brick. 3 more are coming. So we have barely avoided losing. One more there. Ugh, all right. So, flood moves on. We only have 4 of these cards, so not good. Remember, if we lose all of them, that's another way we lose. Okay, so our problem here is we can complete the canal. This turn, no problem. We can also complete our food requirements, because we have a fish here, we have a meat here. In order to win the game, though, you have to survive till the very end of the round. So you have to do all of the steps. You have to satisfy the barbarian's needs, and then you also have to refill the card line. And if we complete this canal, there's going to be 4 barbarians that need to come out, which means we would need to defeat 4 of these barbarians. That's going to require 12 of exactly the right kind of workers, and we just don't have that. We're not going to have that capacity whatsoever. I mean, right now we have 4, 5, 6. We can get 7, 8. If we defeated these 2, we could get 9, 10. We can get close, but, you know, we wouldn't be able to finish the canal. So I think we're going to get overrun by barbarians. Our only hope is that, you know, if we do this food, there's a story event. And there's a story if we complete the canal. Maybe those will help us somehow. I'm not sure. We also have this action right here where we can do 2 provisions and 2 shells in order to actually just draw a new townsfolk card into our hand from the deck. And that might be able to help us. So I think where we are is that we just simply can't defeat these barbarians. We've been overrun by them. Let's go ahead and let's fill this up. We got the fish and we got the meat. And let's go to story 13 and see what happens when we do that. Our foragers have done well. We have endured with simple, rationed food, saving whatever we can for the leaner times. We are starting to see the food store fill once again. It is meager, but the workers are inspired. Work has been hard in recent days, and a full stomach goes a long way to keep a man going. I have, however, been meditating on the events that led to the situation we now find ourselves in. Before the fire, we had been beset by storms and rain, not hospitable conditions for a fire to swell. For now, there is still food to gather and store. A few extra stores of grain is not enough to see us through the winter. I will need to talk to those who were here in camp when the fire broke out. Or perhaps I should start looking for monkeys in the river. So file the completed food storage card in the box under history. Place the townsfolk card that were on the food storage into the townsfolk discard pile. That's too bad. I was hoping they'd come back into our deck. Find card 22 in the story deck and file it in the box under Other Setup Cards for future games. As with the previous food storage card, this new one will also need to be completed in order to win your next game, and will remain in play until you complete it. Okay, well, we at least accomplished that for our next game, so we don't have to try to do that same one again. Let's just go worker, worker, blue and yellow. Let's complete the canal. Actually, before we do, let's bring her into play here. We're going to need the warm bodies. And in fact, before we even do that, let's get a new card. So we're going to spend 2 provisions and 2 shells to draw another card. See if this helps us at all. Wood and a black worker. I mean, yeah, let's just get the wood. Oh, we could probably use the black worker, but I don't think it's going to really matter. Yeah, let's just get the wood. Okay, yep, let's complete the canal. Maybe something good will happen. Destroy 2. And Storybook 44. A commotion drew our attention over to the river today. Shouts and crashing sounds bellowed from the forest. As we watched and listened, a resounding roar echoed out through the valley. My people flinched back from the shore even though we were across the surging waters. A second yell preceded a figure breaking from the tree line and running for the river. It was a short-lived attempt at escape, for moments later the source of his dismay came crashing from the forest. A huge bear, blue and brown in the fading light, arrows protruding from its fur. The man was running as if spurred on by his ancestors, but the bear was faster. I'm not sure what the barbarians did to anger the creature, but it was clearly unhappy about it. Once we are sure the animal is gone, we will send some men to bury what is left of the man. No one should be left like that. So file this one under history. Find card 54. Okay, add it to the future games. Ooh, and discard the leftmost barbarian card from above the board if possible, without gaining the reward. Okay. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? We have yellow. Now, there's just no way we can complete enough. There's going to be 4 more coming. Okay, let's build an outpost because we can. This way I get to show you what an outpost does. When you build an outpost, you can build any one of these. And what this is showing is that whichever one you build, like, let's say we build this blue one. Now, this is saying that we can now treat white and blue as the same color. We can spend whites as blue or blue as whites. And so the more of these outposts you build, the more you can kind of swap colors around, and it can make it easier to defeat these barbarians because you need those specific colors. So we probably should have been building more outposts. We're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to place this outpost here and get a yellow. We can now spend this white as if it were a blue because of the outpost. And with these 2, we can defeat her. It's going to give us a white worker and a shell. But there we go. I think that's kind of all that we can do. We have to survive. We get attacked here by all of them. But then the barbarian invasion would happen. We'd have 7 up on top, and we'd lose. So we got very close. So now if we lose the game, we have to turn over the top defeat card. So as part of setup, you take the 7 defeat cards, you put the yellow at the bottom, and then you shuffle the rest, and then you do the same thing for the success cards. Put the yellow at the bottom and shuffle the ones on top. And so what we're going to do is, because we were defeated, we're going to turn over this card. And now it shows if we were defeated by the flood catching up to us, then we would read that story element, 50. Instead, we were killed by barbarians. So we're going to read number 9. My heart is tossed to and fro like a bird before the storm as I write to you this day. My heart grieves as we had to abandon our work this year as the barbarians moved against us in force, driving us away from the river and the canals we have worked so hard to complete. We will need to start again here, but first we will have to make our way back and push back the barbarians that remain. However, all is not hopeless, my darling. Messengers from His Eminence arrived in the village this evening while we arrived in defeat. They brought with them news of gifts coming from the Emperor, gifts to show his favor and acknowledgement of all the work that is being done to complete this grand design. I will have to keep news of our recent defeat to myself until I can show success to the emissaries and return them to our Lord with something to praise in court to keep his favor. File the revealed defeat card in the box under History. Find cards 48 through 51 in the story deck and file them in the box under Other Setup Cards. These are boon cards. During the setup of your next 4 games, shuffle all remaining boon cards and reveal just one of them. Return the rest to the box for future games. Each boon card gives you an immediate reward before starting the game. Once you have resolved the rewards, file boon cards in the box under History. Each boon card is only used in a single game, regardless of its outcome. So because we lost, we're going to get a little extra benefit for the next game. And that's something that this game does, is there's a sort of a self-balancing mechanism. And the campaign ends once you have either won 7 games or lost 7 games. And because of the things that happen in this game, we're going to have different canal cards coming out, different hut cards. But there you go. That is a complete game of Legacy of You. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.